Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach. Taking a little lunch break to do a video. My life's crazy. Had to de-skunkify my car right after I picked up my dry cleaning. So I literally had to take it right back to the place I just picked it up from. Like, hi, I need you to clean it again. So they're like, okay, another 20 bucks for us. That's cool. But people often ask, they go, how does your OCD handle different situations? I got to tell you, my OCD, when I actually need to handle a situation, it dials down to zero. Same thing happened in Afghanistan. I would have to crawl through these things called karezes. These are like underwater irrigation canals. And it's also their toilet because it's the third world. So I'd be up in sewage to my waist. I'd crawl through tunnels filled with human dung, and just wash my hands and shower afterwards and sleep like a baby. So this one is a really, really interesting situation. It's developing, as they say. But I'm really trying to, I think this is a big story. It's bigger than just one person. One of the things people hammer on me, and it's very interesting to talk to pros because it's very rare that they say, I agree with you on everything. They go, man, you do some stupid stuff. That's usually how they open up the conversation. Then they talk about the stuff they agree, and then they talk stuff they don't agree. They say, stop focusing on an individual person. You need to make things that are broader. Focus on trends, on connections, on culture. Don't just say, this one person said something mean to me. That's a kindergartner telling the teacher. So this one is quite broad, and it goes to the subculture, a very toxic subculture that almost completely took over comics, that still has a lot of power, and they're fighting tooth and nail to keep it. One of the biggest problems is they only had the power because it wasn't obvious. Now that me and other people have done videos, it's really easy to make connections between people and say, oh, this guy's saying this because there was a video, or this thing happened, or this person's coming out a book, or whatever. So anyway, real brief from me and Michelle Perez. I don't remember when we first started tangling. She mentioned me in an Image Plus book as a Terabad garbage person, or whatever they say. I did a little roast video on it like months ago. I forgot about it, but she just found out about it. So she did a response, and she said, trying to destroy me. He's like, he's a multiple divorcee piece of shit. He's a war veteran, so of course he's a crypto fascist. Unfortunately, an IE didn't blow him up. And then she repeats that a couple of things later. One of the key things to point out is that nobody in the conversation said, whoa, or, sometimes you check your buddies. You're like, hey, whoa, hey, let's dial it down. Nobody did that. She got likes. People continue in the conversation. Tamara Bonvillain was right there in the middle of it. And then I got tuckered out. I've been learning to sleep. I did like a year of like 4 to 5 hours of sleep. So I was like, hey, I'm doing a live stream. I just fell asleep. I slept for 8 hours. I feel great. So then I wake up and I see people are saying something Kurt Eichenwald, and I'm like, about me. And I'm like, oh, so real brief thing on Kurt Eichenwald. So you can see him right here on the screen. He's worked for a lot of big, Vanity Fair, MSNBC, New York Times. He's also very, very controversial and a real weirdo. So this is where the thesis of this comes in. I am not saying, Yahoo, Kurt Eichenwald's on my side. It's literally that there is a spectrum. And at one end is, me and a bunch of normies. At the other end is all the SJW comic book pros. And close to them, but between the normies and the extremists, are guys like this. Kurt Eichenwald is a grimy guy. I would not leave any of my kids around him for a split second. I don't know if he's done anything actionable, but there's been little, and you can Google it, what he's kind of been like tied to stuff. It gets really grimy. I don't know, if he was like your cousin, you'd probably invite him to the picnic, but you'd keep an eye on him. No, I'm not saying he's a criminal, he's just got some weird, sketchy parts of his past, and it's recurring. He's also a very far left guy, very political, and he kind of came out of his he wasn't really in exile, but he was kind of discredited. And then he came back during the election because he was the one with the hot scoop about Trump. So he was just getting retweeted like crazy, followed like crazy, and people were able to look past the things because they hated Trump so much. He's kind of settled into a second career and is kind of doing well again. I don't know if this is a recurring bit he does. So he put up a post yesterday where he says, the most horrible person on Twitter today is @RubbleWoman, which is Michelle Perez's Twitter name. A comment, oh, by the way, do not go to the Twitter. It is degenerate as hell. It's literally like wink, wink, nudge, nudge advertising for Michelle's supposedly former career as a sex worker. In my opinion, it looks like still currently going on. Rebel Woman, a comic book writer with Image Comics who wished an Afghan vet was killed by an IED and celebrated the deaths of GOP and religious figures. I don't care if you don't like people's politics. This is obscene. So 308 retweets, 1,500 likes. But this is where it gets really interesting. We get to see the very toxic subculture that the SJWs belong to. And it's sick. These people are obsessed with violence, death, and degradation. This is one of the things they keep saying against me is like, you're transphobic. There's only 4 trans people I know about in comics. And I have issues with them because of their behavior. 3 of the 4 have repeatedly espoused violent thoughts, violent ideation, and violent fantasies. And this is not average, you know what I mean? You're not seeing Mitch Gerads or any normie comic pro constantly talking about violence. But you got 75% of, the very few trans creators. It's like, what's going on here? Bring it up. So then we just get these really weird, violent responses. Listen up, Michelle could crush your weird Tinker toy head with a single twitch of her butt cheek. I'm not kidding. The freaking... Don't go to her Twitter. It's disgusting. It is honestly astonishing that you think attracting attention to yourself in this way is a good idea for your long-term career and reputation. We run this awful website. Really creepy thing to say. The weird thing is they kind of do. They're very much inveigled into... there's kind of this media elite. And then P.S. Every decent person on earth celebrates the death of evil man, you imbecile, you lipless doughboy. Then advertisement for The Pervert by Image, a surprisingly honest and touching account of a trans girl surviving through sex work in Seattle. And then it just goes on with that. So then someone says, it's very good that she did that, and it's pathetic that you're harassing her because of it. So she wished my death. They kind of tied in the other ones, and I don't know about that. Don't you have anything better to do than get your 450,000 followers to deliver outraged sermons to rude trans people on the internet? And then he basically brings up, how would I know she's trans, and what does that have to do with wishing death on people? Standards of humanity apply to people who don't advocate or laugh at the deaths of innocent gay men. It's not something I've ever done. Anyway, I'm also glad... Okay, so now they're just having like weird daddy issues. So then Kurt Buddy, there's absolutely nothing wrong with celebrating the death of... so they're kind of tying me in with their like fantasy version of whatever. Like, I don't know why Reagan's getting brought up all the time. There's just a lot of like, literally the best thing Scalia ever did was die. And they just really hammering on him for basically saying, don't wish death on people because you disagree with them politically. Which seems with, there's a new one. So this just came up 14 minutes ago. Seriously, I have never seen a crazier group emerge than when I called out a comic writer blue check for wishing a veteran had died in Afghanistan. They say criticizing death wishers is harassment. The vet is called diversity in comics. Can someone explain what this lunacy is about? So my big point is that Kurt Eichenwald, a far left guy, who seems like he's got some stuff. I'm not even going to get to that stuff. Even he is utterly shocked and confused by how extremist and violent SJW comic book prose and the culture they swim in is. It's just really shocking. So let's see. So, oh God. He's a well-documented serial harasser who has attacked creators with racist, homophobic, and transphobic slurs for years. You literally walked into a community you know nothing about and argued on behalf of a Gamergate-styled troll. Let's see his response. This is going to be good. Oh my God. The Mighty Layman. I was just advertising this guy's book. God, I'm blanking on it. His monster book at Image. So this is one of the things I want to say. These people are all connected. There isn't some, the Michelle Perez and Image is connected to John Layman, whose book I'm still going. I don't care. The book looks good. I like Jeff Jarrell style art and monster stuff. I love Pacific Rim. These people encourage each other. Just yesterday, Michelle was saying, and she was doubling down on it like all night. I don't take it back. I hope he died with an IED. And then this is serial harassment. It's like, Diversity Comic and his followers are loathsome, Kurt. Loathsome, vile people. I just said I'd buy your book. Have you said bad things about me? Scrolling down. See what else they say. Paul Camo. They don't understand your hard stance on threats of violence. The vet in question has a history of insulting LGBTQ authors and everyone else. So, humans, I'm human phobic. Fueling threats against them, not true, unproven. So they hit back in the only way they know, death threats. That isn't an automatic pass. Of course it's not, but it's just, it's one of those things where you don't say it, like, in any, like, nobody does stuff like this in any other industry. Layman. Diversity in comics is the toxic ringleader of a group of alt-right assholes. Again, not true. I was actually thinking about this while I was just doing my laundry. By the way, I got some bomb-ass laundry stories if you want to hear them. One of the things people say is they say, talk to Ben Shapiro, talk to this guy, talk to that guy. It's like, I'm not trying to be a right-wing or Republican or conservative group. I want it to be Big Ten. I want everyone to make money. I want the 90s to be back. I want 500,000 sales on Batman. And but my group still, of all the followers, it still skews to the left. Now it's center left, but it's to the left. It's not all right. They're doing this because they want a no platform. They want people to not listen to me. The problem, I don't understand why people like Layman don't get this, is when you say that I'm an extremist alt-right asshole, people go to my channel because they want to watch the monkey dance in the suit. They want to say, oh, I want to see what hateful stuff he says, and then I'm going to spread it. And then I'm like, here's my daughter knitting on the Brooklyn Bridge. Oh, I just hung out with some people and they were cool. Hey, Sophie Campbell wants to kill Republican congressmen, but I sure do like her art. Like, you guys are helping me. This is going to get me a couple more thousand subscribers within the month. And notice they never give details. They will call me an asshole, bigot, whatever, 30 times. They will never specifically describe anything I've done, because when you specifically describe what I've done, it's completely harmless. Diversity in Comics is a toxic ringleader of a group of alt-right assholes who've led different on-right harassment campaigns largely against anyone who is not a white male. He is a poisonous individual, as are his followers. I can kind of see why you're like 50 and you still got a roommate, Mighty Layman. Shippy. Yeah, basically Diversity in Comics is about the worst person in the world. So vet status aside, it wasn't a great hill to fight on. Why do they always use that phrase? He's literally a professional troll. Okay, number one, I work in IT. That's my profession. Oh God, look at this guy. Billy Robinson. They're fascists. And fascists can never win arguments against facts. Oh wait, he's on my side. So their default method to advance their... Oh wait, I can't tell what he said. To advance their agenda is harassment, intimidation, and threats of violence. Okay, so he's on our side. Fear not, you're not alone. For none of us can afford to lose against the fascists. Well said, Billy Robinson. So Steve Edwards says, Diversity in comics isn't really my cup of tea, but basically he believes that the shoehorning of minorities, etc., into comics are watering down the overall product. He's right, but doesn't always address it in the best way. I would agree with both of those statements, so I'm trying to improve. He's become the villain for SJWs, both fans and creator. I won't argue that one. So this one, K-Terra. Meyer is the ringleader of a reactionary hate mob. Okay, so this is one of the things these people don't understand. They're talking to a journalist. Yeah, he's a sketchy journalist. Yeah, he's this, that, the other thing. But he's a journalist. When a journalist asks you a question, they don't want you to say, "I've been generally harassed for 30 years." They want to say, "Who, when, where, and why?" Sorry about the clapping. They say, "Oh, what did he do? To who? How did it happen? What was the context?" That's what he's looking for. They just give the same vague accusation. Meyer is the leader of a reactionary hate mob focusing on attacking marginalized comic creators and anyone else. The writer you targeted was one of their targets. You should have asked what was up before saying anything, and then not say it. Okay. So Katya Andor. Are you ignoring all the tweets telling you he harasses trans women? First of all, it's not a lot. It's the same people. They all know each other. And no proof. No. This is my new character I'm debuting. It's the no proof guy. No proof. Tell me what you think about him. I'm going to read it in the comments. Oh, that one hurt I hope you guys hate the no proof guy, because that one hurt my throat. Salt-powered robot. You've run afoul of one of the vocal mini-factions that have infected pop culture discourse since Gamergate. No, not all creators are insane. That was a weak like on your part. You could look into Colleen Duran and her history of creators' rights and being harassed for it. I don't know what that means. Show more replies. Hope they're interesting. Casey's explosion. Oh, for FFS, Kurt. That dumbass account is just trying to drum up hatred against LGBTQ plus writers and comics. Quite frankly, my dude, you've been duped. Scrolling down. And again, no actual like accusations. It's just on and on. Pontifex says, your buddy the vet runs a Gamergate adjacent. Okay, so they can't even tie me to Gamergate, so I'm Gamergate adjacent. Far-right hate campaign, you dunce. Sometimes the world would be material better for people if someone else weren't in it. Again, this is someone, and this is, like I said, John Layman. You got Image Comics. You got all these people circling wagons around someone who's like, I stand by my idea that I wish he died in war. This is a bridge too far. These people are extremists. Some fat guy. Diversity in Comics is a right-wing extremist who directs a large, well-coordinated hate mob to attack comic book creators he doesn't like. He spreads a conspiracy theory that Marvel has been taken over by a sinister cabal of SJWs who are gatekeeping white men out of comics. Oh, that's true. Let me see what the responses are, though. It might be entertaining. Oh, God, get this thing out of the way. He's behind... Oh, God, this is driving me insane. Okay, whatever. Sometimes you forget that you have a touchscreen. And then you touch it, and you ruin everything. I like Layman. He's so, energetic about it. He's like, it's a hate mob. Okay, so scrolling down. Stay with me, folks. There's going to be a long video, but it's going to be a lot of stuff. Bill. Diversity in Comics is a harasser and a racist piece of shit. That's what it's about. Doesn't matter if you did one arguably honorable thing by serving the military. Being a veteran does not... Nobody has said one specific thing that I've done. Not one person has screenshotted anything. Anything. I've had this account for a year. I've deleted 2 tweets. That's it. When several comics pros found out that Diversity in Comics had been harassing for years, found out he would be at a convention they were speaking at and complained, Diversity in Comics and John Della Rose hoaxed a plot by said pros to attack D&C and beat him up. Okay, the thing is, we've actually shown screenshots. Okay. Long story short, diversity in comics is a human shit stain who's made multiple people's lives a living hell for years, and you are deeply wrong to defend him. Okay, so let me refresh this one see if you say anything else. Tweets and replies. Because I actually wanted to get to Michelle Perez. So, who the hell is Richard Meyer? What is wrong with you people? Seriously, I have to start ignoring you. It's like having a conversation with unmedicated schizophrenics. Oh my gosh. So, okay, so we go to Michelle Perez, who was very, very glad. So she's like, her response to Kurt Eichenwald when he said the most horrible thing was, "People I am glad are dead. Ronald Reagan, Nancy Reagan, Antonin Scalia, especially Billy Graham. If you're defending Richard C. Meyer, go off. Go to bat for dirtbag who only whips up hate mobs against LGBT and any non-white in comic books, you pasty white gerbil." So this is funny. She had to bring up his race while accusing me of racism. Meanwhile, what am I out there saying? Black Panther is my favorite freaking fantastic movie. Actually, I identified with Killmonger, a black nationalist. Freaking love Christopher Priest. All this other stuff. What they're always trying to divide. But actually got 939 likes. So then Michelle has this theory. This had to have been Richard C. Meyer's effing ace in the hole or whatever. I doubt Kurt Eichenwald reads non-hentai manga on the regular. So this is interesting because twice Michelle Perez, a trans sex worker, has tried to use like 1950s morals against people. Like her big thing against me is I've been divorced. By the way, 2 divorces in 12 years in the military is absolutely the freaking average. When I freaking went to Afghanistan, I was the only person in the whole squad whose marriage survived the deployment and then collapsed like a year later. So where was I going to try to find it? Scrolling down some more. So there was actually some other people in here. I want to go to her Twitter, but it's so full of literally buttholes and low-key advertisements for her sex work that I can't show it at all. Oh, gross. Yeah, so God, I wish I remember that guy's name. Can I go? So let me, so basically, yeah, so God, I don't know if you want to go there because it's so, we're going to peek. We're going to do just a little peek. Hopefully the first thing won't be, so yeah, it's very sensitive. Oh, probably some, I'm so nervous. So Ivy at South by Southwest says, "I'm so emotional about at Rebel Woman. She's so talented and been through so much bullshit and still is the strongest fun." Okay, so I appreciate it. Okay, so I gotta scroll down. So Jay Corwin says, "You know that harassment isn't predicated on whether the target deserves it, right? Rebel Comics is a good comics writer. D&C is a lunatic who attacks LGBT people." I don't really care about Billy Graham. Okay, so she's actively and another guy who's co-signing, Matt Centauri Griffith. These people are all connected. Okay, so Michelle Perez says, "You're claiming ignorance and going after a comic person through Richard C. Meyer while pleading ignorance again. I watched you do this to Aubrey Sitterson and he's blackballed now." I don't know if he was talking about Aubrey Sitterson. So yeah, Kurt's really sketchy. He his big thing is he was like investigating underage photographs, but then the way he investigated it just came off really sketchy to everyone. He says, "So I condemned a comic writer for wishing an Afghan vet had died. Then I got bombarded with..." Okay, so luckily we're getting very few buttholes. So he says, "Who did I say it about, Kurt? You should probably provide context." Okay, scrolling down. My gosh, I'm so nervous. Oh, so one of the things she was saying is that the attention got a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm buying your book, girl," and it went to the top of Amazon. But there's so many subcategories in the Amazon. I've had books in the top for months. You can get literally like 12 people to order something, and your stuff will go to the top. If they order it within the same hour, your stuff will be number one. Hot. It's the only word I can say. Sorry, I'm trying to find stuff we're bragging about. So the big deal is that these people know that they are absolutely protected. Okay, so here's Royal Boiler. Like I said, I actually write him wrong. I like Royal Boiler. I think he's actually a good dude. I think he is an extremist, but come on, Twitter, I'm trying to follow a conversation. Go to the things that I wanted you to go to. But he is this kind of guru, and he connects these people together, gets them their jobs. So this guy tells it, he's like, okay, so I found the right one. Today has been hilarious. These are all the same. We're tired of being politically correct jackasses coming out of the woodwork. I say one remark about a bigoted dumbass. You didn't say one remark. You said multiple, wishing that I died by an IED. Then you doubled down on it. Then you bragged about it. Then you basically said you're untouchable because you know the people who hired you. Brandon Graham says, I know you like egging them on. I just feel like it gives more content to corny shit like the Diversity in Comics Goons YouTube. That side of comics isn't worth even engaging with, in my opinion. My side of comics is the side that keeps the comic stores in business, so that your side of comics, which is much, much, much smaller, has a little bit of shelf space to sell your whatever stuff. She says, I'll be honest, it was a one and done scenario. Notice that I'm not bringing up that guy's name anymore, and now the book is selling like hotcakes to spite these dumbass people. People are giving positive affirmations and learning about the comic. I couldn't be happier. You got 12 pity buys from psychotic people who enjoy hearing death wishes. Also, weirdly enough, what got this going wasn't really that guy. It was Kurt Eichenwald. No, you were the... I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Brandon Graham says, they all blur into the same shit-faced goon in my mind. Okay, so I'm really starting to not like the guy. This is obnoxious. These are the people who almost killed the industry, and they want it to be only for them. Extremists, violence addicts, depraved... what's the word I'm looking for? It's worse than depraved. I can't think of it. Scrolling down some more. All right. Okay, so anyway, Brandon Graham is a kind of a tastemaker, shot caller at Gatekeeper at Image. He's let in Michelle Perez. He's backing her up. John Layman's backing her up. By the way, for those people who have made this far in the video, I'm about to wrap things up. One of the things to notice is the silence. Remember the attention given to John Malin, because he had one tweet where he compared SJW's Nazi. Remember all the guff Ethan Van Sciver has gotten for a joke he made 11 years ago in a sketch. Look at Kieran Shake, look at Daryl Leo, look at Tim Doyle, look at all these, look at Tess Fowler, look at all these moral authorities, and watch their utter and complete silence when a freaking sex worker, professional criminal, repeatedly brags that she wished that a soldier died by an IED in combat. And you were going to see how depraved, how absolutely extremist the kind of core power players in comics have been. Anyway, I just went way too long, which means I got to push back my work day even later, because this is absolutely not billable. So I'm going to be working till late in the night to get my 8 hours in. But anyway, tell me what you think about this craziness. Tell me, as always, tell me when you think I'm going too far. Tell me when you think I rein it in. Tell me when you think I'm going down the wrong avenue. But this is sickness. This is toxic. This is extremism. These people are obsessed with violence. These people are do not go toward Twitter. It's absolutely degenerate. This is violence, extremism, and degeneracy and criminality. It's awful. I've said this before. I was just doing this while I was doing my laundry. There's not one person from the 1980s Marvel bullpen that I would not have trusted to watch my daughter. You know, if like I'm visiting, I'm like, oh my gosh, I left my ATM card at the Blimpies across the street. I'll be right back. Hey, Mark Grunwald, can you watch my daughter? Hey, Tom DeFalco. Hey, Jim Shooter. Hey, Ann DeCente. Hey, Joe Duffy. Hey, freaking Christopher Priest, who was James Owsley back then. Larry Hama, can you watch my daughter? I'm running right across the street. I would not let them, these power players, these shot callers, these gatekeepers, I wouldn't let them within 10 feet of her. I would pick her up. It would look like we were in a flood. I would pick her up and I would hold her over my head to keep her away from these people. So anyway, thanks for watching. I gotta wrap this one up. I gotta get back to work. If you got insiders, tell me more stuff, because this is the thread. We're pulling on this thread, and it's going to expose all of these people because they live by their associations. They live by collusion. They live by not being exposed. Once you get it out there that these people, that Brandon Graham has no problem with someone, a friend who says, I wish this guy was dead, that the people at Image and the higher ups are going to say absolutely nothing about it. That normal people see this stuff and it keeps them out of stores. Do you think the majority of the country who, you know, this is going to be a popular video, I can tell. You're going to remember Brandon Graham saying this for years. You're going to pick up a comic and go, oh, this is a guy who was backing up his friend after she was bragging about saying that soldiers should have died in war. Like, I'm not trying to play that soldier angle too hard, but just imagine if it was someone else, I'd actually be more bothered. Because this is degenerate, extremist behavior. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'll have more videos up later today.